Morning show continuing and to a big topic for country universities, and those are all around the country really, where the Chair of Universities Australia, Professor Deborah Terry, who appeared at the Press Club on Wednesday, has stated the case for university participation in the process of economic recovery. As she started in her article by saying that the pandemic had now been with us for a year and that she'd observed in Australia that we'd handled the pandemic well because we'd listened to medical experts and researchers, and that demonstrated that the need for universities to continue to support decision-making was apparent. Governments need to invest in universities to lift the level of expertise. Australians trust university-based experts because they help us make better decisions, she stated. And she also looked at the fact that international education sector, which we're renowned for throughout the world, where foreign students make a contribution in Australian society and our economy, and also by getting their degrees here in Australia, then going back home often, or some will stay on and take up roles in the public service and also in the private sector. And that Professor Terry said universities would support economic recovery in three ways: providing transformational knowledge, also the will to educate the professionals for the future, and supporting research and innovation. It's an interesting circumstance where there is a concern for universities that without the international students coming in, that funding arrangements and a whole range of ability for universities to offer the courses that they are obviously clearly needing to offer. But by the same token, how do governments open up the borders carefully to allow the number of students back that could well make our universities cost efficient and to keep the sector actually buoyant? We can't continue to fund something from out of the government purse completely. We need private sector investment, and obviously degrees that come via international students help us with funding our universities. That's in the case of regional universities. I'm at the town of Wagga Wagga, or the city in regional New South Wales, and we've got the Charles Sturt University here. It's a really important part of regional education. The courses they offer helps students also locally stay in the region rather than having to travel, say, to Sydney or Melbourne to get their degrees. They can do so in a regional university. Some really important points. And our content producer here at The Flow on our News 24, and also for supporting our program here on the morning show, Ricky Lambert, he's come up with some different options for universities in this context, and he says that if we have got agricultural positions, quite often we've got 5 jobs out in the regions for every one graduate, then if that's the case, and we've got a shortage of women, as John McDonnell's article told us yesterday, where we want to give women the higher paid jobs that they need to get parity for income, then one way would be for universities to be training in the short term to upskill and to give the planning for the country regions, in particular these 5 jobs for every one graduate that we're hearing is the case across regional areas, and at the higher level of skills training in the areas of like engineering, and if you take it a step further, agricultural sciences. Then one would ask the question as to why, if we have got so many university placements that aren't being filled, could the government actually begin this process of fulfilling these spots, particularly in regional universities, with the training courses to put people in agri-science where we need them in this boom time for our regional economies?